Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on. Now, obviously, we all knew Gladiator 2 was coming out 24 years after the original hit theaters. And yeah, I think pretty much most of us have, seen the original Gladiator from 2000 at some point. And yeah, I did rewatch it myself, obviously, in preparation for this sequel. And yeah, what is there to say that hasn't been said? It's a great movie with great action, writing, performances. Yeah, honestly, it is just a great movie from the early 2000s. Not to mention, it gave us some very iconic lines.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Pretty much ever since that original Gladiator came out, and it was a massive success, getting great reviews, and going on to win a bunch of Oscars. Like, it won Best Picture for that year 2000, and it also won Best Actor for Russell Crowe. But like, yeah, so with how big of a success that original Gladiator movie was, it was kind of no wonder that, they did want to do a sequel to it. And yeah, over the years, there has been like ideas to do a Gladiator sequel. Originally some pretty bizarre ideas that they had for the sequel. Like, there were ideas where like Maximus gets brought back to life, and he has to go like try and kill Jesus Christ, and then suddenly next thing, like, he ends up just going all throughout like history and stuff, and just partaking like a bunch of stuff that happens throughout history after ancient Rome. Yeah, it was pretty wild, alright. But yeah, none of those ideas ever came to light. But yeah, it seems, they finally got, a good script going, and eventually, after like more than 20 years, a Gladiator sequel was officially put into production. And well, yeah, now 24 years after the original movie came out, we now finally have ourselves the sequel, just simply called Gladiator 2, with Ridley Scott once again back in the director's chair. Yeah, so I was, looking forward to Gladiator 2. Like, I do love that original Gladiator movie, and it is a great film, alright. And like, now, to be honest, I don't know, like, if the original Gladiator was exactly a film that really needed a sequel. Like, I don't know if a sequel to Gladiator was honestly entirely necessary, but I was willing to see like what if it would be, a good movie in its own right. And to be fair, it did, look like a good film from the trailers and stuff. I was looking forward to it, and but anyway, so we're 5 minutes into this review now. Now this weekend we have finally gotten Gladiator 2. Well, anyway, this weekend, the day I'm recording this video is November 16th. And yeah, for over here in Ireland, Gladiator 2 released in cinemas there yesterday, November 15th. I'm pretty sure over in America and other territories it actually doesn't come out until next week, but yeah, but for us, we actually got this a week early, and I went to go and see Gladiator 2 for myself today, and now, having finally seen it for myself, what did I think of it? Yeah, I have to say, I honestly had a good time with this movie. Now, would I say it's as good as the original Gladiator? In its own right, it is still honestly a very good movie, and I was entertained by it. So anyway, now I haven't really actually got into my full thoughts on Gladiator 2. So getting into my full thoughts, the cinematography is honestly really good. That isn't really a huge surprise, to hear that, it's a very well shot movie, but in all fairness, it actually is, very well shot. There's honestly some just really, gorgeous shots in this movie. It's some of the wide shots of, the Colosseum and stuff, and, even the way they film the battle scenes and stuff, yeah. Honestly, they are just really well filmed. The way they, just show off, this massive scale, of Rome and all these fights that are happening and stuff, yeah. Honestly, it is a really well shot movie. Honestly, it's actually very impressive that Ridley Scott is nearly towards his late 80s now, and he's still giving us movies of this scope and of this scale. Yeah, for a man of his age, that is honestly just really, really impressive. Yeah, I will say the cinematography was honestly great. I will say the editing in this movie I also thought was honestly just really good. Overall, this movie was just very well edited, and this movie does kind of cut with certain subplots and stuff, because we kind of do have a bit of an ensemble cast in this movie with a bunch of characters, and I will say I do what the movie does with it all. The way that they actually edit the film is honestly really good, and I do like the way that they edit some of the battle scenes and stuff, yeah. As well as being well shot, it's also very well edited, and the movie honestly does do some impressive things with the editing at times, which I honestly thought was really neat. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a very well edited movie. Um, now, in terms of the film's pace, now, this is a long enough movie. This movie is 2 hours and 28 minutes, I believe. So like this movie, it's a bit shorter than the first movie by about like just a little over 20 minutes. But you know, it is still like a long enough film. But I will say though, I honestly think the movie did a good job with the pace, because like I will say this, with Ridley Scott, while his movies can tend to be pretty long, he does a good job at pacing them to where you don't really feel the runtime all that much. Like, despite how long this movie was, I honestly didn't feel the runtime with it, because like, honestly, the movie is just really entertaining. Yeah, there, like, all throughout the movie, there's just these battle scenes, and like, I mean, the movie can like be pretty fast paced with like some of these scenes with all these characters. Like, it's clear Ridley Scott, he is the kind of director who just really loves to go bizarre. He just wants to, you know, entertain the audience. And one thing that he will do with that is that, like, his battle scenes are just so fun to watch that they actually just help the movie, like, go by at a kind of a fast enough rate. But, like, even though I honestly didn't really feel, you know, the movie drag too much, like, I will say, I don't think the movie was too fast. Like, honestly, I actually like the fact that this movie went quick enough, because, like, I mean, I think it honestly did help the story just be that bit more engaging and stuff. And, like, yeah, honestly, I just did, you know, have a lot of fun with the movie and like the story and all the action sequences. So I wasn't really all bothered by the pacing. So yeah, overall the pace in the movie was actually very good. Now in terms of the sound and music, I will say the sound and music in the movie is honestly quite good as well. Like, I do like the sound effects in the movie. Like during a lot of the battle sequences, where like, you know, we can kind of hear like a lot of the swords, you know, slashing and stuff, and you know, like we kind of hear like the sounds like a lot of these animals that are being involved and stuff, and like the big sounds that they make. And like even this one sequence where like they're in this boat, and like, yeah, you just hear all the sounds and stuff. It's actually just really epic. And yeah, honestly, it is actually pretty good sounds design altogether. I think the sounds in the movie was very good, and I will say the music in the movie I thought was very good as well. Like, honestly, I do think the movie actually has a good score. Like, there actually was, you know, some genuinely pretty good music throughout the film. I don't know if the movie score is exactly like as good as the score from the first movie, but nonetheless, it honestly is still like genuinely a very good score in my opinion. But nonetheless, I still honestly do think the score in this movie is very good. Yeah, overall, the sound and music in the movie was actually genuinely very good, alright. Like, and even kind of some of the visuals throughout the movie, because, like, even though, like, we do kind of have, like, a few sets in the movie, there kind of are some, like, effects in the movie, and for what it's worth, the effects work in the film is actually pretty good all around. Like, I don't think it's, like, some of the best I've ever seen, but nonetheless, it honestly is, you know, very good effects work. But now getting on to the characters and the performances from the cast. Like, so starting things off, with our main character of the film, Lucius Verus. Obviously you will remember that he was a character in the original movie. He was a young boy, but now in this movie he's obviously grown up into a man now, and yeah, he is now the main protagonist of this film. I gotta say, Lucius as a character in this film, I honestly did think he was a good protagonist. Like, I had they don't exactly try to make him exactly like Maximus, because, like, with how he, like, ends up kind of getting turned, you know, into a gladiator, yeah, it's a bit of a similarity, like kind of a parallel to Maximus in the original movie, but they don't just straight up make him like a rehashed version of Maximus. They actually kind of do something a bit different with his character, which I did appreciate. And, like, overall, I thought he was a good protagonist. He led the movie well. He has a pretty good arc. Paul Mescal is genuinely very good in the role. Like, he honestly does make for a good lead, and, like, I don't think he does a good job of carrying the movie, and he does well playing Lucius, yeah. Overall, I thought he did well here, yeah. Lucius was a good character. Like, getting into some of the other characters, we have, the General Acacius, and, like, I'll say he's a Roman general, and, like, he's kind of responsible for, like, why Lucius ends up becoming a gladiator. I will say I did like his character as well. Like, I mean, it kind of seems like, you know, they were gonna kind of go somewhere with this character, because, like, when we're first introduced him, it kind of does seem like, you know, he's going to be kind of an antagonist for the movie. And they kind of go in, like, a direction with his character, and I also thought it was interesting what they did with his character. Yeah, I thought he was a solid character. Like, overall, I think Pedro Pascal did well in that role. Yeah, overall, I thought Acacius was a solid character as well. And then we have, like, essentially kind of our villains of the movie, who are the co-emperors Geisa and Caracalla. Yeah, I will say I thought they actually made for pretty good antagonists. Like, they really came off as, like, kind of, you know, very, like, slimy and, like, kind of malicious characters with, like, we see them, like, you know, watching these gladiator fights, you know, watching people just, like, killing each other and stuff, and, like, you can clearly tell, like, they just get all enjoyment out of it and stuff. Like, they're clearly very much entertained by it, and like, honestly, I thought they actually both made for pretty fun villains. Like, I have to say, both Fred Hechinger and Joseph Quinn were very good in their respective roles. Like, Joseph Quinn as Geisha, he was very good, and it's good, seeing him get more roles after Stranger Things, and yeah, he does well in this role. And also Fred Hechinger as Emperor Caracalla, he was very good as well, honestly. Now, I actually would have liked to have seen, how Barry Keoghan would have played this character, because obviously Barry Keoghan was actually supposed to play Caracalla originally, but nonetheless, Fred Hechinger honestly does a very good job in the role. Yeah, I thought the two of them made for pretty good villains. And then we have Macrinus, who is like this former slave who basically ends up having to oversee Lucius when he becomes a gladiator, and like, Macrinus honestly does have a good like plot movie. I just like his character with like kind of his whole subplot in this movie is that he wants to overthrow the emperors, and like, yeah, honestly, he was actually a good character. He was a well written character, and like, I will say wow, how like they took his character and stuff, it was quite interesting. Yeah, and honestly, I have to say Denzel Washington, he is superb in this role. Now, I mean, to be fair, this is Denzel Washington we're talking about, so it's not like that's honestly a huge surprise, but like, nonetheless, he honestly was like very, very good in this movie. He may actually be the standout of the whole film. Like, he pretty much stole the show whenever he was on screen. Yeah, honestly, I think he did a great job in this film. I think some of the other kind of supporting characters who appear in the movie are decent for kind of what their roles are meant to be in the film, but we do have two returning cast members from the first movie. We have Derek Jacobi back as Gratius, although, to be honest, he's actually not really in the movie for a lot of it, but I think he's overall just good enough for the screen time that he gets. But the one returning cast member who does appear consistently in the film is Connie Nielsen as Lucilla, because like, obviously she's Lucius' mother, and like, yeah, because of it, she does end up playing, a big part in the film. Yeah, I have to say, I actually liked her character. Like, I think like the kind of role that she plays in the movie was actually pretty good, and like, I have to say, I do think Connie Nielsen was very good, and she honestly did come back into this role very well. Yeah, she was honestly very good. Yeah, overall, I have to say, I thought all the characters in the movie were very good, and like, the acting from pretty much the entire ensemble was honestly just really good as well. Yeah, so overall, yeah, the characters and the acting both very good here. In terms of the plot now, the movie honestly does have, a good plot, I think. Like, I mean, it does kind of have, like, some similarities to the original film, with how, like, our main character ends up, becoming a gladiator, and like, yeah, like I mean, there like are some kind of similarities to the movie, and obviously with it being kind of a legacy sequel, we kind of do, have some callbacks to the original movie, and we actually, get, like, a few new details that expand upon, the plot of the first movie a bit, Like, I will say, what this movie kind of does, like, with, like, its own plot and everything, is genuinely very good in its own right, because, like, I mean, like, compared to how, like, in the original movie, where it actually took, like, quite a while, actually, for, like, everything to happen to Maximus and for him to, like, actually end up becoming a gladiator, whereas with this movie, it kind of all starts to happen straight away and stuff. Like, I honestly did like that though. Like, I mean, honestly, the plot of this movie and kind of how it's written and stuff. I will say I do think it was well written. Now, it may not be, as good as the original movie. I still think, honestly, it is pretty well written in its own right, and I mean, the movie's writer is David Scarpa, who was also the writer for Scott's previous film, Napoleon, and well, it's safe to say, compared to that movie, he actually did definitely, step up a bit here with the writing, because, like, even though it's not as good as the writing of the original movie, I still think, like, for what the film sets out to achieve and stuff, it is still pretty well written. Like, honestly, like, a lot of this movie, we're, like, seeing a bunch of these, like, fights. Like, we have a fight with a bunch of baboons, and, like, a fight with these men on rhinos, and even a fight where, like, they're, like, on these boats and stuff, and, like, there's all these sharks in the water, yeah. Like, I mean, they may not be, like, entirely historically accurate, but, like, Ridley Scott has pretty much proven that, like, he's willing to kind of put historical accuracy in the backseat in favor for, like, just genuine, like, massive entertainment, just to, like, please the masses and stuff, and, like, honestly, I think he does a good job with it here. Like, honestly, this movie is just a ton of fun. Like, all these battle sequences are just really fun to watch, with how just out there and how insane they get and stuff, yeah. Honestly, this is a fun movie to watch. And like, yeah, even like, with the way the plot is written, as I mentioned, cause like, like, I compare, like, with the first movie, it had kind of, a simple, plot, but, like, we kind of do get, a few subplots here, and, like, I will say they are well written, and, like, what kind of ends up happening and stuff, it's actually kind of a bit different, like, with how I kind of expected certain things to happen, but, like, I will say I really liked it. I thought it was honestly well written and entertaining. But yeah, overall the plot of the movie is very good. Like, while it does kind of have, like, a bit more kind of subplots and kind of a bit more stuff going on compared to the first movie. Nonetheless, it is still well written, and, like, it is entertaining and it's fun to watch, yeah. Overall, they did a good job with the plot of this movie. Now, in terms of the narrative structure, now, as I mentioned, compared to the first movie with, how we have this Roman general who, like, his family get killed and he ends up becoming a gladiator, and he obviously wants to get his revenge. But, like, with this movie, we have kind of our main plot with, like Lucius. He ends up becoming a gladiator. Like, he kind of does want to get revenge as well, but this movie kind of does go in like some other directions. Like, I mean, we had kind of a subplot with, him and like his mother, with how he ends up, obviously coming across his mother again, and like with the whole kind of subplot with like Acacius the general. Like, I mean, with how like he's basically responsible for what happens with Lucius. Now he becomes a gladiator, but like how that will actually play out with Lucius wanting to have his revenge. And like we also see like the emperors Geisha and Caracalla and kind of what goes on with them. And we also have, like Denzel Washington's character Macrinus, who like obviously his whole plot is that he wants to like overthrow the emperors, and like there's like a bit more stuff going on like compared to the first movie, but nonetheless I do think it actually does make for a good narrative structure, because like it's actually able to tie everything in together pretty well. And like I honestly do like some of these subplots. Like, I mean, honestly, the whole plot like with Lucius, actually becoming a gladiator, like that to me kind of, it actually was probably like kind of maybe my least favorite subplot. I was like, well, it was good. I was actually kind of more interested in like what was gonna happen, like with Lucilla and Acacius and what was happening with the emperors. And like, I did like the subplot with Macrinus and how he wants to overthrow the emperors, and like the direction they kind of took with it and stuff. Yeah, but overall it was a good narrative structure with how it was actually able to tie all these subplots in together and like actually kind of make for like a cohesive story. And like, but obviously a lot of the runtime we also have like these battle sequences, and like they're definitely like a highlight in this movie with how bombastic and honestly just bizarre they get. But they are a lot of fun though. Yeah, overall it's a good narrative structure with how it's able to tie a few subplots in together, as well as able to provide some entertainment. But yeah, overall, Gladiator 2 is honestly a very good movie. It may not be as good as the original film, but does it really need to be though? Like, this movie has a lot going for it in its own right, with, we have very good cinematography and very good editing, and like, it's honestly paced well, and there's some good music and sound effects. Like, I also like, the characters and the acting in it was very good, and it has a good plot. It may not be like, as good as the original movie, but it's still nonetheless overall well written in its own right. And I mean, I like how it's able to combine all these subplots together, and not to mention just a bunch of fun action sequences throughout. Yeah, overall it's a very good movie. If you do love the original film, I'd say you're gonna have a good time with this sequel as well. Even if it's not as good as the original movie, I still think it's a very fun movie in its own right. Yeah, so overall, I did really like this movie. It's safe to say I was in fact entertained. So with that, I'm going to give Gladiator 2 an 8 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.